Today, an exclusive update on the House of Horrors, revealing what's next for the 13 Turpin children. Now, we're back with crime correspondent Melissa Moore. I'm also joined by forensic psychologist Dr. Brian Russell, former criminal prosecutor Beth Karras, and child psychiatrist Dr. Judith Joseph. Now, just days ago, this video of the 17-year-old daughter who escaped emerged on a YouTube account under an alias, singing what seems to be her own songs and describing life locked up in her home.
You blame me for everything. You blame me in every way. You blame me for what they say.
You blame me for everything. You blame me in every way. You blame me for what they say. Dr. Joseph, this is the same child who ran away and ultimately ended up freeing her siblings. So when you hear that song, as a professional, what are you really hearing?
Gut-wrenching. I mean, this sounds like a cry for help. And from my work with kids who've been abused, I know that oftentimes parents blame these children for the abuse. They say, you're bad, you deserve this. And in a way, it's to justify the abuse. And it's manipulative because these kids eventually believe that it is their fault.
These children have been split up. That's what we've learned from the relatives who've tried to visit them. How does that affect them psychologically when they've been together the whole time and now they're separated in ways they can't control?
So, for the people at home, they may say, oh, these kids feel rescued. They're relieved. However, being chained together and tortured by their parents, this is the only life that they've ever known. So in some ways, it may be traumatizing for them to be pulled apart from each other.
So we know these kids were underfed. It's been reported they were forced to sleep in the day, stay awake at night. What does that do to the health of a child?
It's a great question. The developing brain needs nutrients. It needs folate. It needs zinc. It needs vitamin D. It needs these things to actually develop properly. And these kids were deprived of these basic nutrients. So you may look at a child of this age, 17, and she's probably more like a 12-year-old.
I know she had lipstick on in the video as well.
Lipstick is something that a lot of teenagers wear. However, there's something very creepy about the way that she's portrayed. And we learn love from our parents. They're our models for love. So perhaps she was being taught something that was a bit abnormal.
Melissa, how long is it until the actual blood relatives, the family, can see these children?
Well, there's a massive delay right now because this is not adjudicated. It's going to trial, and they need to protect the children. I know that both sides, David's family and Louise's family, are fighting to get custody of these children. They're really good homes, too. I think it's important to know that just because one family member is a perpetrator doesn't mean the whole family are perpetrators.
So Beth, but how common is it from your experience for a relative to get custody of children in a case like this?
It does happen, and many states will give priority to relatives, but the court's going to look at what is in the best interest of the children. If they are thriving right now in foster care and they really need a good, supportive, safe environment where all their basic needs are being met, they're not going to necessarily be yanked away from that just because a relative wants them. Now, that's not saying it won't ever happen. The court will also look at what kind of relationship the children have with this relative. Is this relative even in their lives, or is this relative a stranger like the foster care people?